All right. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, wherever you're at. Thank you for attending our March webinar series with Nex-Tech. They are going to go over some great things with you guys today. But first, just to go over a little bit about WTA, we are a national association representing over 300 rural broadband companies across the United States. We do 2 educational forums per year. Nex-Tech is also a proud sponsor of our spring forum in Miramar Beach, Florida. If you would like to find more out about WTA, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to hear from you, and I will turn things over to Jody, and she will take it from here. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Taylor. Welcome, everyone, to today's webinar. It looks like we've got a good crowd here today, so we're very glad that you have joined us. Before we do get started with the presentation, we do have just a few logistics I want to cover just to make sure that it'll help the webinar run smoother. For those of you who have not joined Nex-Tech for a webinar before, we typically, our format consists of Tammy will do her presentation, and then we'll open the floor for questions after her presentation concludes. We do have the option, if you have questions come up throughout the presentation, up in the top corner there is a Q&A button. Feel free to ask questions throughout. I will monitor it. Some of my coworkers will also monitor the questions. If it's a timely, needing a timely answer, I'll interject and have Tammy provide a response for you. But otherwise, we will just go ahead and proceed with the presentation. Right now, we do have everyone set to have their microphones off. Again, just to make sure we can get through the full presentation. But if you do have a question, definitely reach out through that Q&A button or the chat button. Feel free to put those in there. And I will, at this time, go ahead and turn it over to Tammy Walbrock to do an introduction and get started with the presentation.
Thank you very much, Jody and Taylor. I am excited to be here with all of you. I am Tammy Walbrock. I am a creative ad sales representative, and so at Nex-Tech, and I've been at the company a total of 12 years, not all in a row. That's a fun story another time. But I've really enjoyed the journey, and in several different industries, churn has been an issue. Specifically, when I got most, introduced to churn was when I was the customer service supervisor for 5 years at Nex-Tech, quite a while ago. But at that point, we were a different department than what they became and are today. I would call us more of order takers, very reactive in nature, and we weren't even tracking churn at that time, but we knew what churn was. And so now fast forward, and I'm part of the marketing team, and it's interesting to see the impact that marketing has on churn. And so there's a lot of different strategies that are influenced by marketing or other departments, certainly customer service being one. But we'll give you some ideas today that hopefully will help you with your churn. And with all presentations, with all training, there is a scalability that perhaps I will present something and it gives you a spark of an idea that you can take and run. And I hope that is achieved today. But we do have a wealth of people that are going to back me up. So it's not even just me answering your questions. We've got a bunch of others that will be here to help guide and give us some more value. So let's keep going. So churn is certainly that measurement. Are our customers leaving? How many? Because they're basically stop using our service, our product. Well, that makes sense. But a lot of times people don't know actually how to determine the churn rate. And so it is truly that who is canceling their service. And that churn rate can be figured, and we do this a lot. You're going to hear a lot of examples from Nex-Tech through this presentation. We actually determine our churn rate on a monthly basis, and then certainly are tracking and keeping record of the annual. But let's keep So churn, we know it's there. It's the loss of customers, but we want to get a low percentage. That is what you're striving for, because low churn rate means fewer customers are leaving your service. And that's a good sign, because that's telling us they're satisfied, they're loyal. And what does that also mean? It means a steady revenue stream. It means that the costs associated with acquiring new customers is not something we're taking on. Whereas, high churn rates, there are things happening that are triggering or encouraging customers to leave, and we want to identify what those could be so we can be proactive. So some statistics to share with you, and of course, I've gotten my statistics from the status of U.S. broadband 2023, but just in general, all industries, there's a lot of cost. 5 times is what this report says, 5 times more costly to acquire a new customer. So just retention itself is going to be more cost effective and a more guaranteed revenue stream. And that is why we're in the business of what we're doing. It is to make money while providing a very much needed service. But in terms of that impact, when you are actively providing attention and approaching strategies to impact your churn, just that 5% decrease can have a boost of 25 to 95%. If our profits were to gain 25%, we're thrilled, and that's the low end. So there's definitely a lot of potential in just addressing this important issue. More statistics when it comes to the industry. Overall telecommunications, and I will tell you, I don't know if this telecommunication means all services or just phone, but at this point, the 22% annual churn rate is what telecommunications in this survey, this study had come up to. Broadband cable operators, you're seeing their churn rate is about 26%. So I believe that you, for your company and what services you provide, there's some goals here. 22 to 26% should be a benchmark or lower for you to be able to reach. And so that hopefully is going to give you some ideas. And it's interesting when you start thinking about troubling the troubling truths when it comes to the churn. We know it's revenue loss. I mean, that's a no-brainer. In fact, most of those on this screen, the list is pretty much what you would expect when you have customers leaving. Obviously, lower revenues, image, brand reputation, satisfaction, the fact that you have a higher risk for acquisition, all of that is pretty much, I think, common sense. I was, though, surprised to see the employee morale there. And I don't know why I was surprised, because I saw this happen with my team back in the day. People in the front line are the ones that are 100% of their day is dealing with, say, 3 to 4% of our customer base. And they're usually the unhappy people. People that are really excited don't come through your doors and give you the high five, but angry people will. And so that's hard to be in a position that day in, day out is dealing with the negativity. And so churn in itself can actually keep employment, keep your workforce more steady. Who would have thought? So churn versus saves. In fact, when I was getting prepared for this presentation, I think I actually started confusing some of these roles. Churn and saves, while very closely related, they are separate, and they do go hand in hand. So churn is obviously looking at those customers who have left the service, and saves are those that were a high risk potential, but you were able to save them. And so the retention versus the disconnect is kind of that. And so there's a different focus, a different purpose, impact, usage with churn versus save. And certainly the aspect of being able to identify negative issues is just as important as identifying the stuff that works, the positive efforts. So now you know where to improve, and then you know what is working, how can we improve it, should we keep doing it, and making those type of tweaks. And so certainly when you are doing your type of tracking, keep in mind those are 2 data points that maybe you want to keep score of and just be watching. And Nex-Tech does that. So let me just share one provider in Kansas and what we do. Hopefully this will give you some things to maybe compare and contrast. But our process has certainly been an evolving one. We have been tracking for 10 years. And so through that time, we've better understand the churn and the impact. We know that there are different save strategies, save promotions, offers that we can do that are more successful than others. We've started implementing incentives for our employees. We've got different retention strategies, loyal marketing campaigns, etc. And so that's a lot of our journey. When we are tracking and saying churn, our churn of 11% for 2024 does include all of our core services. And we have TV, streaming, phone, and internet. Our company goal for 2024, and it's the same for 2025, is to be below 13%. In terms of, or as well as saves, we do have different goals there. And we had in 2024 saves of about 25-26%. And again, that's measuring our core services, identifying those at-risk customers that we were able to retain. And in 2023, we were down in 2024 than what we were in 2023, which of 2024, we made 597 attempts and we had 152 saves. You may be looking at, well, yeah, but you had that many in between that you didn't save, but 152 saves is truly amazing. And at that point, our goals are really identified to the CSR. It's an individual goal as well as an individual commission incentive plan per the CSR based on their longevity, their position, their level, maybe their skill set, whatever the case may be, but it's very tailored to that employee. And when I was in customer service, we didn't have goals like that, and we certainly didn't have a commission plan. But I think our company, and we'll be able to attest to that, certainly in the communication, but also some of the other stuff, that we really have had a lot of success with that commission plan. One of the save strategies we have implemented is the fact that we do provide discounts for a 2-year commitment. And so again, some people are like, oh, discounts, we don't really want to go there, but it's guaranteed revenue. Why wouldn't you have that for 2 more years? So it is working for us. There are a lot of different factors impacting churn. Now we're going to focus more on the churn side rather than the save. And we need to be realistic. You can't save them all. There are customers that do die, and that is hitting our numbers. We obviously can't impact that number. We can't impact when they move away from our service area. Those are the uncontrollables. Our top 3 certainly are they don't tell us. We don't actually know why they have left. I'll come back to that. They obviously have moved away, and we have those that don't pay their bills. Gosh, I'm sure that resonates with a lot of you. Other factors, though, maybe you are gaining new customers. You got a fiber install. When that is happening and you're acquiring new territory, you've acquired a new company, whatever that may be, that's going to skew your churn rates. Certainly saving customers and the success or lack of will impact the churn. Exceeding expectations. if you indeed are exceeding the expectations that customer survey results are sharing with you, that means you've got a higher loyalty and higher satisfaction. That's awesome. And whether or not you offer support services, help desk being one, field technicians being another, those support services will also impact. But let me come back to the don't tell us. One of our strategies is to really dig a little deeper. And we're working with our CSRs to help them in identifying questions they can ask, as well as helping them get over that hump of not wanting to ask uncomfortable questions. Because sometimes it seems awkward, it seems weird to go that deeper level, but it's important. And I think we've been able to convey that to our customer service team. So we're working on that. But I'm kind of like, well, okay, we've identified what the definition of churn and saves, as well as some of the impact and troublesome stuff. But what now? And I love this quote. This is my favorite quote, and I apply it to a lot of different training. But when in essence you have a lesser quality product, maybe it's more pricey, maybe it is less convenient, whatever the case may be, people will actually overlook some of those, say, negative factors, and they will choose the business because of a friendship. And to me, I know we're not going to make everybody our friend, but I think we need to embrace that mindset that if we can look to a deeper engagement, a deeper rapport, more personal touch with this customer, we're getting close to being their friend. And that is very powerful because that impacts loyalty, the customer loyalty. And we're going to go a little bit deeper in these 4 bullets. But ultimately, if you can remember anything, it's the fact that timeliness is truly an issue that you want to have at the forefront of any of your plans, strategies, decisions. Because when you are timely, when you are quicker to resolve an issue, customers are going to be higher satisfied, and it's going to reduce their likelihood of leaving. Here's the thing. People will give grace for mistakes. I do. I'm guessing a lot of you do as well. I then start becoming dissatisfied or satisfied based on their response to a mistake, an issue, an equipment failure, whatever. It's how they fix the problem and how timely they fix it that truly is, to me, the game changer. So let's go a little bit deeper. Proactive efforts. This can be with both your communication as well as your data. And here's 4 different things that they may be common for what you do, but let me go a little bit deeper. Customer surveys. If you aren't, I'm guessing most of you are providing customer surveys, but have you ever really thought about the comment section? Sometimes the comments can be a little raw and have a sting to them, but you know what? That authentic, honest feedback is clearing up misunderstanding of why they're not happy, as well as it gives you a definite point of where to start. What do we need to fix? You know the real problem, and then that gives you the real solution. And so certainly we love it when we get the comments. And mystery shopper, maybe you haven't done the mystery shopper, but that's really an attempt to get that unbiased reaction, a true opinion without really knowing a lot of the factors and the people, to be able to say, here is my customer journey. Here's what I liked, here's what I didn't. But you know what? You don't always have the budget to hire a third party. Why not ask some specific friends that you know, friends that you trust, that are going to be able to give you, again, I'm going to abuse that word authentic, but authentic feedback as to what their experience was, so that again, you can identify and address where and when appropriate. Loyalty programs are a key way of reducing churn. And I love the fact that it's one of the few programs we do that incentivizes or rewards the long-term employee. Because most of our marketing promotions are geared toward acquiring new customers. But loyalty program is certainly keeping, honoring that loyalty. And so the key, I think, to both to what is successful in a loyalty program is truly that when you have impacted your revenue as well as quality engagement, the interactions that you have, it needs to be accomplishing all that. One customer I wanted to bring up was one that we worked with, H&B Communication. Their communities that they were had service in facing very aggressive competitors. And they started noticing that the competitors were kind of being a little sketchy, not so transparent. And so they came to us wanting a campaign to, hey, we want to promote the fact that we are shooting it straight. Basically, they came up with the "we throw it to you straight" idea and use the dodgeball to kind of really make the campaign more powerful and fun. And it got a lot of notice. They did a mix of traditional, digital, all that. They gave incentives. They, though, were able to track and gauge a really impressive ROI. And in turn, they decreased their churn and they remained consistent on their 3-year churn rate. Your marketing efforts can have a big impact. Data. That is what all of us in marketing, we love our data, but data can help every level, every position. And some of the things about the data is obviously, can you identify those people that maybe need an extra touch? At-risk customers, possibly those that are maybe utilizing and a service level like bandwidth, and they're always reaching their max. There's an upsell opportunity. There's a way to explain and maybe address things, fix things before it becomes a disconnect. And in order to be able to leverage your data and analyze that effectively, it's crucial to get all of those sources into one spot. The example that's on my slide is actually a proprietary dashboard that Nex-Tech has created. There are lots of tools out there. Get one that helps you just gather and make the analysis easier, more efficient, more successful. And at that point, the tools could even be available through a vendor you work with. Check with those vendors. They may be able to pull data to identify those sources that you can either upsell or address an at-risk. Perhaps they can also provide you other data that you seek. That's a conversation certainly that's worth having. So think about the different people that you can reach out to, but because the more data you have, the more personalized and targeted that you can be in your messaging. I absolutely love this topic. And I believe all the things that we did at Nex-Tech is in changing the culture of our customer service department was the empowerment piece. And you're going to meet one of the people that was part of that, Luca Borni. I got to give you credit, bud. And the frontline empowerment is certainly has helped us at Nex-Tech. It's something I did in other industries. It's first and foremost, though, about that human connection. I always trained all of team members that reported to me, compassion, empathy, respect. Those human elements are always at the forefront. If somebody comes in and they couldn't pay their bill because of a death, illness, trauma of some type, I was always telling them, sorry, are you okay? How are you doing? And we address that first. And then we address the service issue problem, the item at hand. Furthermore, in the empowerment piece, training in general just offers a lot of confidence boost for people. No one wants to look stupid in front of a customer. And so being able to train and understand what person needs which training is also key. But one of the things that we implemented at Nex-Tech was needs-based selling and upselling. Different strategies in order to be successful with that. We were training employees to really identify and address those specific needs so they understood what customers were wanting, because it's not a broad paint stroke. All customers want one thing. Yeah, there's some trends, but the CSR is really able to get very close and familiar with that specific customer's need. And at that point, it's changing the mindset from being that order taker, being reactive in nature, and then being more proactive to understand that if they can get this customer the tools they need to make their experience better, that's good. And yes, it's part of selling, but people do need to buy things. Selling is sometimes an uncomfortable thing for certain individuals. And so maybe you need to start looking at a skill set that's different in your CSR than what you have in the past. And those are just different things to look into. Authority and guidance, certainly giving people the upfront permission to make a decision in the moment is part of authority. And that is going to reduce friction. You'll hear that a lot, that phrase, reducing friction, but you're going to eliminate the time that a customer can leave or be thinking about something while that CSR has to go seek approval. If the CSR can do it then and now, you're going to have a lot greater success with your loyalty factor, and that is what reduces churn. Then at that point, guidance is also crucial, not just the training aspect, but debrief, evaluate after a situation, and then talk to the person about, hey, I wish you could have done it differently here. Next time, try this, that type of thing. I do believe, though, when it comes to authority, you need to be able to allow for mistakes. Your CSRs will make decisions in the moment you do not agree with if indeed you are their direct supervisor. But if you penalize them in any way, from a slap of the hand to right up in their annual evaluation, whatever that penalty looks like, you have just shamed and blamed somebody from never taking a moment to influence authority ever again. So you really need to be able to give grace and come back after the situation, honor whatever decision the CSR made, and then come back later and let them know how you would prefer they do it in the future. We have gone deeper. I mentioned Luca Borni. This is a webinar that he provided to our customers. This webinar is already recorded. Please scan this QR code and you'll be able to access both some article as well as, or a blog article, as well as the webinar that goes a little bit deeper in that empowerment process and how we did it at Nex-Tech. Hopefully you've had time to do that. I'm going to keep going. So, personalized engagement. What is really that meaning? It's more than just saying, hello, Sally, when Sally walks in your door, or hello, Joe, when you pick up the phone. This is really about knowing how that customer behaves, what is important to them, and how that behavior may drive their decision making. And so the more you know that behavior, the more you can personalize, because you're going to know the message that's going to resonate. You're going to be able to tailor those incentives to what is relevant to them, because what works for me may not work for you. And so certainly that personalized aspect is going to be huge. You also can achieve that through different marketing techniques. I'm going to give you the example of High Stream Fiber. They were working with a fiber installation project and of a new housing development. And there were pieces of that development they did not want to get communicated to yet. And you guys have probably had that happen if you've ever dealt with a build. It does not always go on the time frame that you're promoting. And sometimes it feels like we've overpromised and underfilled the promise. And so this ability to geofence and retargetable addressing are marketing tools that are game changer. And so with this particular customer, we were able to target the customers that they wanted to reach and exclude the ones that they didn't. Happier customers means higher service quality, loyalty, and customer satisfaction. And so at that point, their penetration rate was far more successful than a lot of their other fiber installation projects have been. So to keep going, retention ideas. I think that's kind of what a lot of people are like, okay, Tammy, you've told me some stuff, but give me the how-to. Hopefully, here's some of the how-to that works for you. Keep in mind, though, excuse me, everybody from your front line to your executive management team owns churn. Everybody should be working together towards that common goal of reducing churn. That's huge. And it's a culture within your entire company. Also, improving that customer care, looking proactively, intentionally, where could a customer actually get frustrated? Where could they maybe be helped with faster and more, again, proactive, and that you're just offering that more personalized assistant. This is also a great time to be investing in yourself. Where can you make equipment upgrades? Because, you know, us in customer service and those in the field techs, when a decision to not replace something big and it creates a customer dissatisfaction, that's a problem we can't resolve in the front line. You can offer so many credits and incentives, but if it's better quality elsewhere, you're going to risk having higher churn. Community engagement. I think I'm talking to the choir here. Community engagement is what our industry has been so good at. And at that point, building the community ties, while important, it's also important to share your story of how are you reaching the community. We really do put a focus on that local angle. And so how are you doing it though? Keep repeating that broken record, in essence, that message. In this case, Rainbow, they were needing to really show the engagement. They also had some customers coming in and they wanted to show the distinction, the characteristics about them that made them better, made them unique in comparison to their competitor. And so we were able to do some landing pages tied to some specific incentives and promotions that they did. And they really had some greater success that they achieved in other campaigns. Plus, with the landing page, the good thing, they were able to gather data. And so at that point, they were tracking visitor behavior on their website. That just kept helping them give more direction to help them with their decision making. Other retention ideas, what other barriers can you reduce or eliminate? So for instance, are you offering competitive pricing? Have you done the market research and understand this is what your competitors are doing? This is what they're offering. These are the plans that they have. Really being able to understand that will help drive your decision making. Are you offering flexible plans? Are you holding them to a specific agreement, contract, arrangement, whatever that may be? Or is there some flexibility? Where are you able to make greater seamless service transitions? So again, reducing those barriers. Payment plans, you know, life happens. It happens to us, it happens to our customers. Are you able to give some flexibility to that payment plan? The payment options available to different customers can really go far in saving that customer. And again, like I said, maybe I had that in customer service supervisor, my service role. Death kept people. Cancer kept people from paying their bills. Big, big life things, big life changes. Why wouldn't you be accommodating? That's just a human care aspect. And so certainly self-service options is another yet retention idea. Are you able to let your customers manage their own account? Is grandma able to upgrade her internet for a certain time during the summer when she's got the grandkids over and she knows she's going to need a better bandwidth for her internet? But then can she go down in the fall? That type of stuff. This may mean that you need a newer website. Do an audit on your website. Is it meeting the needs to allow customers that self-service option? The self-service, what I have found when working with different customers, is it almost feels counterintuitive to the pride our industry has in offering those in-person customer service elements. But you know what? Younger generations are wanting to shop online. They will turn to the online option first. And if they can't easily do what they need to do right then and there, they're probably going to start looking for another option that does. And so the more then that you can get your technology to give greater ease and convenience to your customers, the better retention you will have. So we're getting toward our end. Let's just do a recap real quick. I hope that you have a better understanding of churn. You understand the churn's impact and those strategies to reduce churn. But specifically, it's crucial to maintain that low churn rate because that's ensuring customer satisfaction and loyalty. And that in turn helps maintain steady revenue, reduces the cost associated with acquiring new customers, and helps you keep and maintain a quality brand image. High churn rates lead to revenue loss. And of course, we know that that could lead to the acquisition. It could lead to damage of reputation, and it certainly isn't going to help boost our profits. The strategies to be proactive, empower those frontline employees, provide personalized engagement are all key strategies in reducing your churn. I believe though most required aspect though, if there is a theme to this entire presentation, it's to be adaptive and to be intentional. When you're intentional, you're proactive. When you're adaptive, you're thinking differently. You're thinking like your consumer. You're thinking, how is it going to be the best experience for as many people as possible? So, what type of questions do you have? We have a lot of Nex-Tech professionals that are on this webinar right now, and they are prepared. If a question comes up and it's in their wheelhouse, they are prepared to answer that for you. So what kind of questions do you have? And I'm going to let Jody, is there any that have come through the chat or any that you're aware of?
So I don't see any through the chat right now, but I did want to, as I was listening to your presentation, there were a few things that really stood out to me as far as some key concepts or key ideas that I think we all need to take into consideration when we look at our churn. One being understanding why customers leave. That's huge because if you don't know why they're leaving, you can't change. If there's a problem, you can't change it unless you know about it. And so that was one of the key things that stood out to me, was truly understanding why the customers are leaving and asking those hard questions, which aren't always fun, and we don't always get the answers that we want, but we get answers that help us make us a better business. And the another thing is being proactive. I think that's also huge in not waiting until you get those calls and they're ready, they're just done, they quit, they're done with their service with you, but actually being more proactive in your engagement with your customers, and personalizing those experiences for each one, because we are all human and life does happen. And so I think that that stood out to me. And then the last one is just being human, and don't forget the human aspect of it. I know that, when you look at it from a business standpoint and a dollars and cents standpoint, some things make sense, but being adaptable to that human aspect of things, and really taking those into consideration. What's happening? Why are they leaving? Maybe we can help you during this short period of time where you're struggling. That type of thing. So those are some of the key things that stood out to me during your presentation. So thank you for that. I do see we have several team members on here, and I do see one in the chat. Laura, how do you level escalating your CSR staff in order to get them more authority or etc. to execs that don't see the merit? I would love to give them more authority, more confidence, and eventually more pay, but I fear they are seen as a cost center, not a place to improve revenue. I am going to throw Luke right to him.
Yes.
He can definitely help answer this. And Luke, why don't you just do a quick introduction so that way people kind of have a background?
Absolutely. So my name is Luke Borney. Yes, I am the Luke that Tammy has referred to multiple times. And so just a little background, I actually took over as customer service supervisor for Tammy roughly 15 years ago, and I have now switched to senior marketing specialist. So I have kind of danced in both worlds. But we really, and I say customer service because that's a big step that we've talked about a little bit here too. And it does really tie into some of the stuff you're talking about there, Laura, as far as more pay and other types of things. Our industry used to be just that. It just used to be service. We were the monopoly. You wanted phone service, you called in, and we were the only game in town. And technology has changed the world that we live in. And as Tammy has pointed out, it's a revenue-based world. It needs to be. And so really, we've actually started a whole campaign where we switched everyone to customer sales. And with that was a whole slew of things as far as more pay. Some of that just came naturally with the economy and the way of the world, and some of it came through what we call commissions. And so it doesn't mean we pay huge amounts, but if they sell internet, maybe we give them $5. If they sell a higher tier, maybe it's $6 or something else. And so that can help supplement pay. It can also help you build a very strong team. Now, as far as the execs and then not seeing the merit, that's always going to be a struggle, and it's always going to be a struggle because it's really about it kind of ties into Tammy's comment there about buying from people we like. And so what we really got to do is just figure out, as politely as I can say it, what is the way they want the information presented and what is the way they want to hear. Because at the end of the day, execs typically are very keen on profit, revenue, churn, all these types of things make a really big difference. And I think the scare always comes in as, well, I can't give the front lines power because they're going to give away the farm. It's just going to be horrible and it's going to be whatever. Well, you can combat that with a couple things. Some of it is just some training. Have some examples. Don't just say, hey, you just need to save these customers. Give them some guidelines, give them some whatever, and so what we have done is we kind of have maybe 4 or 5. These are some core routes you can go, some core things you can offer. Now, we don't handcuff them because every once in a while there's going to be a wild card out there that they may need to get creative on. An example of that I can think of would have been COVID. Typically, I am very anti giving away free service. Why? Because they'll always take your free service and they disconnect the next month or whatever that may be. But COVID hit everyone hard. And so there were situations where whoever it was calling in and they can't work and they're sad and they're this, and they would say core things like, I hate to do this, but I have to disconnect. I'll be back in a month or I'll be back in whatever. And so that is one of those examples where maybe giving away a month worth of free service. What did you give away? $60? Now, if you look at back what it would take to market to someone to get a brand new customer, it's way more than $60. And you probably just built a lifetime loyalty customer because they were down on their luck a little bit and you went out of your way for them. And so these programs can just generate and do so much. And so I think when it comes to the execs, you need to kind of show all those advantages. You know, it's building so much in these areas. And as far as that liability, you know, if you give a little bit of a core guidelines, I just don't see how one rogue CSR could suddenly give away so much, you know, and it's something you can always look at and monitor then as well. So
Thank you, Luke. I did put, Luke did a presentation on this a while back, and I did put the link in the chat on this very same thing of empowering your customer service or your customer sales team. So I did put a link in that in the chat for you guys as well. So thank you, Luke. Jamie says we can't build fiber fast enough. Do you have any examples of campaigns to get people to stay a little longer and wait for a fiber upgrade? Thinking Lindsay might be the perfect one for this. She works closely with our residential builds and our campaign, our marketing efforts there. So.
Absolutely. My name is Lindsay Brinker. Great to be with you all today. And like Jody said, I help with the residential marketing on behalf of Nex-Tech and oversee all of that. We, Jamie, have dealt with this exact situation in one of our areas where we had a competitor come in and overbuild a LEC area of ours with fiber before we could get it done. So I have a few suggestions or things that I can kind of give you looking back with some hindsight on that situation now. I would say be as clear with your customers as you can be about the construction process and what they can expect. If you have timelines that you can provide, I do think that's nice for those customers to get that information from you. Since they are current customers, you probably have their email address and you can send them, you know, an email. You don't have to blast it to your competitors. But if you can give your current customers a little insight as far as what they can expect, it might give them a little bit of hope to know that they are top of mind for you. You're going to be coming to their area. You know that they need better service and you're diligently working to get that to them. So I would say share what you can. Obviously, we know hiccups can come up with construction. It can, you know, drag timelines out a little bit. If that happens, just be real with them and let them know why construction is delayed. You know, if it's weather impacting or something, they'll understand. Another comment that maybe you could do is take a look at what their service is like now, and are there any things that you can do to improve their service currently? Are they on your most recent router? Do they need, are there any things that a technician might be able to do to improve their service at its current state until the fiber gets there? You know, maybe they just have trouble connecting to a couple devices, or maybe you could install a mesh unit to get the service to a different part of their house to get them by in the meantime and let them know that you care about them. And my third point, which might not sound so positive, but be prepared for some of them to leave and then be ready to get them back when they're not happy with the competitor. Take note of the things that the competition is doing. And if you notice things like, oh geez, they're coming into town and they're only burying the fiber drop 4 inches in the ground. And, you know, when we bring fiber to that address, we're going to make sure it's, you know, buried at least 18 inches. We're going to take care of their landscaping. Your customers might not know that difference. They might just be seeing dollar signs and they just might be seeing that the competitor is going to get there faster. So I think if there are things that you can anticipate and that you already are in tune with and know how your service is better, share that with your customers, and then have those discussions with them. If they do call in with you to disconnect, let them know that fiber is coming and you are ready for them when they come back.
Thank you, Lindsay. Cassie, what platform or system are you using to enable customers to manage their plans, upgrade services, and handle billing through self-service on your website?
I'm not as familiar with the platform. Does somebody?
Our current platform is something that our internal development team at Nex-Tech built for our customers to self-service. So it's not, a third party, something that you can go out and buy, but essentially what it does is allows the customers to upgrade or change their service. They cannot disconnect service through the self-service portal. They do have to call in if they want to do that. And then a lot of times if they upgrade their service, the provisioning part of that, we figured out how to automate that, but then there's still a ticketing process that comes in for a customer sales rep to get the billing updated the next day. So it's kind of a home-baked thing that we're using currently.
Thank you. Madison, hey Tammy, can you share more about the geofencing ads? Is this done through a different platform or directly on Meta, the social platforms? I'm actually going to pull Maggie into this because I believe this was one that she worked on. Is that correct, Maggie?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maggie Baskell. Just like Luke, I've also been at the company over 15 years and spent a lot of that bulk of that time in customer sales and also in community relations, and am now on the ad agency side of the house. The specific campaign that you're looking at there is, like you talked about, a geofence campaign. And it is actually not through Facebook or any type of social media. It is through a different platform that we refer to as smart digital ads that we have available to us, where we can actually use a list of addresses or draw polygons, and it's accurate in close to 3 feet. So pretty darn awesome. Technology is advancing so quickly, but it definitely gave us a leg up in this instance, where that client was really honed in on this particular housing development and didn't want those ads to be seen elsewhere. Those of you that have played with Facebook and Google, you know that it's very easy for those ads to serve right outside of those bounds. Especially with Google, I think it can be a mile off. So it was very cool to be able to see that platform in action alongside of his grassroots efforts to see that penetration rate get to where it got.
Maggie, could you also add some of how the cost involved, the cost per click and things like that? Because it's pretty tailored and efficient.
It is. So what's cool is, so often with a granular campaign like this, is the difficulty that so many of us small providers have is that the minimum ad spend can be very high. So we're lucky in with the vendor that we're utilizing allows us to pool all of the ad spend that we have between Nex-Tech and all of our clients so that we meet that minimum ad spend, whereas we probably wouldn't be able to do it on our own, just as, so many others can't do that. So in this particular instance, I'd have to go back and look at the actual numbers. I apologize, I don't have those in front of me, but we could send those out. These types of campaigns, usually it's like a display campaign, a smart digital ad display, smart digital ad video. General ad spend is $100 or $200 a month. So very economical. And then, based off of that budget, you can then see your impressions and click-through rates and that kind of thing.
Perfect. Thank you, Maggie. Cassie, did your team create the platform, or what is the name of the vendor? Is this in regards to the website platform or something else, Cassie? The geofencing. No problem.
Maggie, do you want to take that one too?
Sure. We utilize a vendor for that. Can we give out vendor information? I know sometimes it's kind of a taboo thing, but Cassie, I can sure reach out to you separately. I don't know if we've collected email addresses through this, but I can.
Yeah, we've got all.
I can sure do that.
So, thank you. For Cassie and others, Debbie's got a question. For Cassie and others, what platform or system are you using to enable customers to manage their plans, upgrade service, or handle billing through self-service on your website? Take a look at NISC ERP. They also have marketing platform for geofencing.
I'm not sure who should take that.
Well,
answer.
and I think it's just in general for the group, for the audience. I know, like Lindsay said, we built our own. We have a team of web developers, so we're fortunate for that, that we're able to develop, our platform ourselves. But I'm sure that there are obviously other vendors out there to look into as far as that goes. If that's something you're looking into. Any other questions? These are great questions. Thank you guys so much. And Tammy, can you flip to your next slide so that way your contact information is out there?
Oh, yes, I can.
That'd be
Maybe
perfect.
not.
Thank you.
Hold on,
You're all right. While Tammy's getting that up, yeah, if you guys have any additional questions, definitely reach out. We are here to help and provide information. There we go. There it is. So feel free to reach out to Tammy. If she does not have the answer, she will definitely get you in contact with one of us who has the answers, and we're happy to do that. I do hope that each one of you, we're right at the end of our time, but I do hope each one of you guys have at least one takeaway from the presentation. Like Tammy had mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, everything is scalable. We've got some small companies, we have some larger companies, we have some who are tracking churn, we have some who have no idea what churn is. I mean, so there's a wide range in this audience right now. And so just remember, you don't have to tackle everything at once. Everything is scalable. Take it one step at a time. But we do encourage you to take a look at what you're currently doing and, to measure your churn rates and, address your churn rates. Huge thank you to Taylor and WTA for allowing us to present on this topic. I know that we definitely value and clearly have invested in analyzing our churn rates, because there is definitely value in saving current customers rather than having to gain net new. So if you do have any lingering questions, like I said, reach out to Tammy or any one of us. Taylor, I believe she's going to be sharing, this presentation has been recorded, and she will share that link on their website, so you all will have that as well. Again, thanks again for joining us. Thank you to our Nex-Tech team and Tammy for presenting. And enjoy the rest of your afternoon, everyone.